Another one then, and we touched on it before, is just like using a meal plan, right? And there's obviously shades within this. It's not all good or bad, because people always hear like meal plan, and if you're in this like evidence-based world, they're like, oh, meal plans are the fucking like so stupid, the fucking devil, you know. Whereas you hear other people, they're like, oh, I need a meal plan to help me lose weight, can you give me a meal plan? And it's like they think that there's just some magic, combination of foods, or some magic whatever, that, oh, this meal plan is going to solve everything, right? Meal plans, like effectively every time you eat a day's worth of food, like that was a meal plan, right? That you had a plan for that food. Maybe you didn't have a plan proactively, but if we were to look back on it, it's like this is your set menu for that day, if you will, right? Like you could effectively just automate, make your own meal plans. If you're like, this day was perfect in terms of my nutrition, there you go, there's your meal plan, see you later, right? Like you could use something like calorie and macro tracking, make out a perfect day for you. You're like, all right, cool. This is how I have my breakfast. This is what I have for lunch. This is what I have for dinner. And you could basically have that as your template. You're like, there's my meal plan. That's what I eat most days, right? Now, that's obviously different than someone, say, for example, like you go to a coach and they go, here's your 1,200 calorie meal plan, or here's your 1,600 calorie meal plan, or here's your 2,000 calorie, whatever it is, right? Like if you get that meal plan just out the gate and you have no understanding of nutrition overall, like eating a meal plan doesn't teach you a lot. All it teaches you is to, it's basically paint by numbers. It's like you wouldn't become a fantastic artist, like painter, by just, paint by numbers. For sure, it can help, it can help you on your journey, but it's not going to be the thing that, makes you, world famous, right? So it is something to be aware of, that a meal plan is basically outsourcing a lot of stuff, but it's not actually educating you, right? So it might produce results, but what happens as soon as you go off that meal plan, right? Or what happens if your life, situation changes, your exercise habits go up or down or whatever? You don't know how to modify that. You just know how to stick to the meal plan. But like when you were getting results on that meal plan, you actually had a daily commute. You used to cycle to work or walk to work or whatever. And now you get the bus, right? And so your, non-exercise activity thermogenesis has changed now. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I used to stick to this meal plan and it was working and now it's not, because you have no education on calorie balance. You don't know these different inputs because you've just been following a meal plan, right? So there's clear negatives to this, but at the same time, like it can be done effectively. Like I've, effectively helped clients with meal plans. I always usually get them to make it themselves and be like, right, how do you think this is going to work for you? Right. Okay. I think it could be better here, blah, blah, blah. We kind of tweak it together. Right. But that's different than just going, here's a meal plan, stick to that, or see you later. Right. Like we have to have an actual approach that's going to work for the individual long term, and then also take into account their individual food preferences, etc. Right, because this is also a huge thing where, like, I couldn't believe, like, you wouldn't believe listening to this, you wouldn't believe the amount of meal plans that I've seen that people go, oh, this is what my old coach gave me or whatever, and you're like, but you just told me you're allergic to peanuts. And they're like, why are they telling you to fucking have peanut butter with your oats here? And they're like, yeah, I don't, they just said to do that. I'm like, like this makes no sense. Like different things like that, where it's like, this is clearly just a copy and paste meal plan. It's like, there's actually, it's not tailored, it's not individualized, whatever, right? So again, there's shades within this. A meal plan can be effective, it can be ineffective. It really just depends on, first of all, how you come to that, and then what you actually get from that and what you're actually looking for, right? Because when we like interview clients, like potential clients, I should say, like I'm looking for this kind of stuff. I'm like, what are you actually looking to get from this service? Like, because we obviously do coaching, right? So I'm like, what are you trying to get from this service? And if you have someone that comes to you and they're like, I basically want to outsource everything, I want someone to tell me exactly what to eat, I'm like, that's not really what we're offering. Like we want to offer an education where it's like, how to eat for the rest of your life. I don't want to have someone come to us again in 10 years time and be like, I need help again, right? Because they're like, I don't know how to eat. Like that's, in my mind, I'm like, we failed you, right? And we want to build something that's going to last a lifetime, and the only way to do that is actually educate you. And unfortunately, meal plans don't really educate you in terms of what you need to eat long term. It's like, here you go, here's a snapshot, eat this forever. It's not going to work. One of the huge downfalls of meal plans is the fact that you can never actually socialize while eating a meal plan, right? Because this is why like bodybuilders that follow meal plans, they all eat out of like Tupperware, right? They're all like eating out of like lunch boxes and stuff, right? Because they have to follow their meal plan. Oh, you're at your wedding? Doesn't matter. Meal plan. Oh, you're at a christening? Doesn't matter. Meal plan. Oh, you're at your fucking granny's funeral? Doesn't matter. Meal plan. You know, it's like there's no how do I actually navigate the real world? You're on a date? Doesn't matter. Meal plan. You know, it's like, oh, you want to socialize? Doesn't matter. Meal plan, right? Like it's like that's not the real world. You don't actually learn a skill. You don't know how to integrate your actual real life into your nutrition and vice versa, right? So I'm not really a fan of meal plans. They can be effective for some people, but for most, it's something I kind of steer most people away for or from.